Hi guys, welcome back to another video from Hustle is for Life. This is the channel that is the CrossFit gym for your success. It gives the muscles of your success a good workout with every single video that we upload. And today I have a very special guest with me. He's a kick-ass entrepreneur. He owns a CrossFit gym and he's an ultra-marathon runner, which is absolutely insane. No idea how he manages that. But he also mentors people. He's a motivational speaker and an absolute badass networking guru. Apart from having his own business, he also is the season 2 host for the Menti Podcast, which is one of the top business podcasts actually on iTunes. And he actually owns his own coaching mastermind. Now, the amazing thing about today's guest is that his authenticity, his vulnerability, and his willingness to add value to others is just absolutely unparalleled. And you just absolutely need to listen to him once on the podcast episode to absolutely fall in love with him. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming a force to be reckoned with, the guru of networking and the king of absolutely eye-watering workouts, Mr. Adam Eidson. Adam, good to have you on board, brother.
Hey, Talal. Hey, I appreciate the introduction and thanks for having me, man.
No worries, brother. Thank you so much. I know we're going to be really short on time, so we're going to dive straight in.
Yep.
So, first of all, I know that you were in a really good corporate job, and then you left that to pursue your dream. You actually bought a CrossFit gym. You've been operating that for many years now, which is doing great. You're, heavily into 6 figures, and you're hoping to scale it to about $500,000. Can you just kind of go into the mindset there? Like, why did you decide to let go of that wonderful job you're in and instead pursue something that might be actually seen as most people as risky?
Well, Talal, I'll tell you what, after waking up every morning and having I commuted to DC for quite a few years, had an hour commute, ended up being an hour and a half, and then 2 hours, and then some days even 3 hours. And just wasn't happy anymore with my job, man. I think what a lot of people get to, right? They have either enough pain in their life or enough happiness. But I had reached enough pain where the money for me at that point wasn't my happiness anymore.
Right. Okay.
So I always had a passion for fitness and helping people feel good about themselves. So I had a long conversation with my fiance at the time and thought about it for many, many months. And I remember the day I pulled the trigger and told her, I'm going to leave this job making 6 figures and being comfortable and take a massive pay cut and set out on my own. And her jaw hit the ground, but she was very supportive.
Awesome. That's great, man. But in terms of actually the thought process behind actually, taking action, because you can sit there and think about it, right? Like most people sit there and they'll think about it for a long time, and I'm sure you did too. But what did that moment look like? What did that moment feel like when you actually said, I'm taking this plunge, I'm going to do it?
So Talal, I think the number one thing, so the way I felt, number one thing I asked myself is, growing up, my parents instilled in me values of 2 things: respect your elders and work your ass off, work hard. Yeah. And over months and months, I just started saying to myself, if you try this, if you take this risk, which at the time in my mind I thought was a risk, what's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah. I still work hard. If I have to take out garbage or scoop poop, I will do that to make it happen. And, I just had I think one day, just all of a sudden, I just said that to myself. I said, what are you worried about? You work hard. You'll figure this out. The ultimate mindset. But for a while there, I'm like, this is comfortable. I'm making all this money. I can do what I want. Yeah. But again, I guess if you had a scale of making and happiness, that scale was here. And then it kept going like this, and I wanted more happiness, So that was the switch for me. Like, I'm going to work and get it done no matter what. Let's do this.
Right. So Adam Eidson in the pursuit of happiness. That's what it was.
It must have been, but I have to give my parents a lot of credit, Talal, because again, I don't think if I did not have those 2 core values growing up about, respecting my elders, learning from them, and working hard, I probably would have never made that move.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think for a lot of people, that is the thing. Like, they find it really hard to take that plunge, don't they? They'll sit around and think about it all the time, but it's really hard to take that plunge. But yeah, I think maybe they need to make another movie about that and call it Adam Eidson in the Pursuit of Happiness. Right.
That is too funny.
I'm glad you like it. All right, let's go somewhere else. You are now the season 2 host of the Menti Podcast, which is awesome. It's really taking off and is growing so rapidly, and the focus you have on adding value to people is just absolutely insane. Like, every single episode, that's the one thing you're constantly drilling. Like, I'm here to add value to you guys. Again, can you go and dissect that and just explain how did you develop that mindset?
Well, Talal, so I tell you what, I don't know. I guess my fiance Suli, we're two different sides of the coin, right? She's very personable and doesn't like. I don't know. She's just very private and things like that. She's not going to go speak in front of people, where I will. And I think for a long time, through business and stuff like that, anytime you try to hide stuff, or if you're just like, I don't want anybody to know about me, you know what? They're going to think what they think about you anyway.
Yeah.
So why not be transparent and vulnerable? You are. I have rough days like everybody else. This move in my facility has been very rough for me, and I've had to cancel appointments and reschedule stuff, which I really didn't want to do, but priorities.
Yeah.
And I think that's being with her long enough to be like, seeing that, being private and secretive, it's not doing us any good. So why not just show the world who we are? And I'd rather bringing the people in my life by being true and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Hey, this is who I am. Yeah. Because then you're going to bring more of those people into your life that know, love, and trust you.
Yeah. No, I love that.
So, and I'm a big believer in that.
I love that. And for people who are watching this video, if you haven't checked out the Menti Podcast, or if you're not familiar with it, please absolutely go and check it out. And Adam is so vulnerable and so open and so authentic about everything that it's absolutely insane. Like, even to the point where he's made, let's say, made a mistake, and it might be a really big one, and his mentor Jeff Woods is actually saying, well, you screwed up. Like, that's live on the podcast, right? Like, it's completely open, and Adam says, hey, I screwed up, and this is how it is. Like, it's amazing. It really is mind-blowing just how authentic Adam is and how authentic Jeff is on the podcast. So I highly encourage you guys to absolutely go and check it out. It will blow your mind, as well as expand it at the speed of light. It is beautiful. Right, Adam, let's go again somewhere else. We're short on time, so I'm trying to cover as much ground as possible.
Hey, take your time, man.
Okay, cool. What are some of the biggest life lessons you have learned since you became the host? Because I'm sure, like, before you actually became the host of the podcast, I know you were attending all these, conferences and events on personal development and networking, etc. And you were connected with some really powerful people. But now stepping into this role of being a host of a podcast, which everybody listens across the world, everywhere. Like, what are some of the lessons you have learned now that you may not have been there before? You might not have had access to them before.
So honestly, Talal, the biggest one, I mean, I've believed this, but it's actually set in stone to being the host, that every day is a new learning experience. And there's not one day that you know it all.
Yeah.
And I think that helps you stay humble.
Yeah.
And continuing to learn. Let's think about it. So Jeff, again, and everybody out there too, if you have not checked out like the One Thing podcast and Jeff Woods, Jeff is my mentor. A lot of credit to Jeff, because he's an amazing individual. And, he started it. And I know a lot of people, I stepped in his shoes, and hey, let's be honest, some of those limiting doubts in the beginning, like, how am I going to fill this guy's shoes?
Yeah. Yeah.
And had I thought through the whole process of, my God, how am I going to do this? I would have never probably have gotten. And it's been a good transition, Jeff's help. But hey, up until like a couple months ago, man, I had a couple of calls or shows that I didn't think were the greatest, man, where I was just sitting here interviewing people. Yeah. And I had lost some of my own of being transparent and vulnerable. So, these last few episodes, I've just gone back, Adam, look, you just need to talk to people and start sharing your journey and what you can do to add value. But I think the biggest thing is every day, man, there's always something to be learned, Talal.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
totally agree.
But also in that, it's like a double-edged sword, though. You want to be learning every day, but you don't want to go into paralysis analysis either, where you're trying to consume so much, where you're not taking any action.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like being open and humble to everybody around you is a mentor. You can learn something from everybody that's near you.
Yes.
Yes. They don't have to be making $1 million. They don't have to be the CEO of a business. It could be the local barista at the coffee shop you go to.
Yeah.
You might learn something from that guy today. So I think it's just being open, a continuing thirst for knowledge, and stay humble. Stay humble and grind hard.
Stay humble and grind hard. I love that. That's beautiful. I love that. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's lovely. Okay, I'm going to go back to happiness. All right, we're going to go back to happiness.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a quote which people say, and I don't know if you've come across it. They say, happiness is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion?
I totally agree.
Right.
So I think every day, hey, us as humans, these are just, it's amazing. Thing about like our brain is just meshy and it controls all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we have bones and ligaments that are hard, but this thing up here controls everything we do. And it is every day you wake up, man. Happiness is a choice. Some people have depression. Some people have chemical imbalances.
Yeah.
So I understand that, and I'm not a doctor by any means. However, I do think every day you wake up, you have a choice of how you want that day to go. And I think a lot of that has to start with you starting that day off right, whether for you, if it's a meditation, maybe for somebody else, it's journaling.
Yeah.
Maybe for somebody else, it's going out for a run. But I think more people need to get off Facebook and technology and spend, 5 minutes to 60 minutes a day with themselves. And I think it makes that choice of happiness easier because so many people now, I mean, you have friends, Talal. How many friends do you have that you ask, hey, what do you want to be doing in 5 years? And a lot of them like, I have no idea, dude.
A lot of them.
Yeah. But they kind of make that hard. And I think that has to do with happiness. So every day, I challenge people all the time. What makes your heart sing?
Yeah.
If you wake up every day and ask yourself that question, what is it that makes your heart sing? Do that. And give an example. For me, mine has always been in fitness.
Right.
And that road, I bodybuilded when I was a teenager in early 20s, did some powerlifting, and then I got into CrossFit. I was an ultramarathon runner.
Yeah.
But now, it may not do, what my point is, it may not be exactly what you want to do. Like, say I want to be a car salesman. Well, hey, maybe one day I'm not going to be a car salesman, but maybe I own a dealership. And you're doing that. You know what I mean? I think people want it to be perfect, but I think you got to choose happiness every day. It's a choice. Ask yourself, what makes my heart sing? What is that? And as far-fetched as you think it is, that's okay. But you have to believe that, and you have to choose to be happy. And then start doing something to go pursue that. So I totally think it is a choice. I also believe some people, maybe it's a harder choice for some than others. However, I do. I think it is, and I think upbringing and surroundings, I think there's a lot of influences on that.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why I'm such a big proponent of mentorship and who you're around to support you and build you up, not break you down.
Yeah. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? Like that's the one.
So true, man.
Yeah, that's the quote the whole podcast is actually built on, right? That you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
So hey, let's talk about that for a minute, Talal.
Go on, then.
Because a lot of people. So when I started listening to the show and Jeff became my mentor, man, I was like, man, I'm the average of the 5 people I spend the most time with. My mom, my dad, my fiance, my best friend. And at that point, my best friend, he's not a go-getter, but he's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, holy crap, there's no entrepreneurs in here.
Yeah.
There's no one in self-development. None of them are mentors. And I'm like, oh my God. So I had epiphany from it. I'm like, I love these people, but I don't want to upgrade them.
Yeah.
So everybody has their place, right? They were stuck over here. And then I sought out the mentorship and other things for my business and for my own personal development. Yeah. And I think people have that at first of like, well, wait a minute, my mom's a great person, but oh yeah, she's not pushing me in business.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But you really got to take a hard look at that and identify those 5 people and just start with one. So with the show, and Jeff mentions that, there's 5 field or there's 7 fields, health, business, finance, whatever.
Yeah.
And pick the one you're weak at. For some people, it might be health.
Yeah.
So go find somebody in the health field that's going to push you and make you better and upgrade that 5. So it's really good. People should start listening to the show. Like you said, it's really good stuff, but it's a game changer.
Yeah. I agree. I totally.
I mean, that's how we met, right?
Yeah. That's how we met. Yeah. That's. I totally agree with that. And I just want to point out one thing, that actually, whilst listening to the show, I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. I made a list of the 5 people I spend the most time with. I looked around and just like, yeah, I want to like build an empire and take over the world, and none of these 5 people are doing anything to be working on that, right? So I need to start thinking about reaching out to other people. And literally since December, I started looking. I've got like several mentors now. I'm working on several different projects, including this YouTube channel. The fact is that this YouTube channel just started in January, and it started to gain some traction. I'm getting some big names on.
Great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Actually on the 24th of this month, which is not that long, too far now, I've got Howard Beher coming on, who was the former president of Starbucks International for 20 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's a really big one. That's a huge one. I've got you on right now. I mean, that's insane. Like, if you had talked to me like a few weeks ago, yeah, you're gonna get Adam Eidson. I'm just like, nope, not happening. But yeah, look at this. It's all there. Like, it's happening, right? So awesome. No, I love that. Thank you so much. I didn't even have to ask that question, and you just answered it. Like, you give some really authentic, awesome advice to people. I love that. Thank you so much for that. You know what? I have to touch upon the Ultramarathon thing, because that's insane. Like, how you managed to do that, it's crazy. To me, it actually does seem absolutely like superhuman. So I know you talk about, and you're very open about this in the podcast, in the episode, one of the first ones that you did, that you talk about the fact that you ran the marathon one time and didn't finish it. Like, halfway through, something happened, and you didn't finish it. But then a few years later, you went back and you absolutely crushed it. So can you just talk a little bit about what happened in the middle? Like, what internal shifts did you have to make to go back and then crush it the next time?
So flat out honesty, Talal, that's why we're here. I pulled my head out of my butt and stuck my ego. I put my ego over here. That race was, it was 102 miles.
Wow.
And up until that point, I had run a ton of 50-milers.
Yeah.
And in 100-degree weather and in 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, hey, I've been training. It's just another 50 miles. Big deal. Let's do it. So just the confidence of running. And with that attitude, I got my butt handed to me and had a total breakdown. Had to openly admit to my mom face-to-face that I quit, and that was one of the toughest things I did.
Yeah.
And after taking some time off and having a little, again, getting back into choosing happiness stuff, a little reflection, a little bit of me time, I realized that, when I start something, I finish it. And I may fall off the horse or get knocked down, but I have always gotten back up. So I need to go back and finish what I started. So I basically took a year off, gathered myself, and said to myself what I really want to do. And I went back, and actually the funny thing about it, man, is I had totally changed up my training.
Wow.
At the point I ran that race, I was running like 50 miles a week, running almost every day. And then when I went back to run that, I started CrossFitting every day, and I only ran like 3 days a week. So I ran that 102-mile race after the time I failed, only averaging about 10 to 12 miles a week running. Everything else was what I do here in my gym.
Oh, my word. That's awesome. That's amazing.
So, and I know I've said it to a lot of people who are true runners, because if anyone out there in the running world knows running, you probably have friends that run 50 to 100-mile weeks to train for a marathon. And here I was, just this little guy running about 10 to 12 miles a week, and I was doing what I do in my gym about 5 to 6 days a week. and I went back and crushed that race. There were, I think, about 128 starters, and I finished 21st.
Wow. Yeah, that to me, that just sounds absolutely insane, like how that's even possible. But that's awesome, man. I'm sure that when you did finish it, it gave you a massive sense of achievement and fulfillment that you were seeking behind it, right? Like that's what's always behind something so big that you're trying to pursue, that it gives you that sense of fulfillment and achievement. And I'm sure that's probably what you were looking for, and I'm sure you got it when you actually did finish it the second time.
Yeah, the three hardest things in my life, and this is my beliefs, Talal. So the three hardest things: A is relationships.
Right.
2, running a business, and then 3, that was the biggest accomplishment of running that race, 102 miles straight. Took me 28 hours.
Wow, 28 hours.
And it wasn't flat, so a lot of people think it's probably on the road. No, it was in the mountains of Virginia. So it was 28,000 feet of elevation gain and 28,000 feet down. So it was up and down mountains.
My word.
So not one single blister on my feet.
That's insane. Yeah, that's mind-blowing. That really is mind-blowing. That's awesome. Yeah, so for people who are watching this, if you don't know what an ultramarathon is, just Google it, check it out. It will blow your mind. That's awesome. Okay, Adam, few different style of questions that I have for you. Okay, so take as long as you want to answer them. It's absolutely fine. Okay, and I'm just gonna fire away.
Okay.
If you were to be deserted on a desert island for a whole year, and you were allowed to, well, you were surrounded by 3 people, okay? And let's say you could choose who those 3 people were. Any 3 people in the world, apart from friends and family, who would you pick?
Wow. Apart from friends and family?
Apart from friends and family, yeah.
Wow. 1 would be Richard Branson.
Okay, all right.
2 would be Peter Diamandis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And 3 actually would be probably my mentor now, Jeff Woods. Those would be the top 3.
Can you maybe explain to us why you would pick those 3?
Yeah, and I'll start backwards. So Jeff, just because he's out of a strong connection with him, he's like a brother. He's like, he is my mentor, just a great guy, and he knows his stuff. 2, Diamandis, just mind expanding, man, mind blowing, right? I've heard him speak. That guy is, what could you learn with that guy on a deserted island? My gosh. And Richard Branson, I've always been just amazed. One of my goals is to get Richard Branson on the show.
Yeah.
I think the guy's amazing. And for anyone that can be quoted as saying, I run all my companies from 15 minutes on my cell phone every day now, that's what I want to achieve one day. So to do that, I got to be around the guy that knows how to do that.
That knows how to do that. Awesome. Good answer. I like that. Yeah, good choices. Very good choices. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. If you were allowed to watch only one movie for the rest of your life, which movie would you pick, and why?
Braveheart. Braveheart. Man, I'm a sucker for a romance slash action. So I love Braveheart.
Braveheart. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. Good answer. All right. Let's ask a different one. Okay. If you were a master Jedi and you could use the Force to do whatever you wanted, what would you be doing right now?
What would I be doing right now?
Yeah.
Wow. I would be mentoring individuals who want to go into business for themselves and trying to steer them in a direction. Like, I would want it to be a group of humble, honest people.
Yeah.
That they are willing to learn, but they want to hear, like, hey, what were the struggles you went through, and not make the same mistakes I've made in business. And again, not perfect, still making plenty of them. But speaking to those and the places I've been, same thing with fitness. You don't have to do it the way a textbook says, and you don't have to go to college. If I could go back, Talal, I would have gotten a mentor, back in high school.
Yeah.
And someone really, they're fine. So anything, I would be speaking to people that really want to learn and do that, because that's my passion. I just want to mentor and just add value to people. Like that's, again, with Branson and Peter Diamandis. I love Peter's, Singular University. I think that's amazing that, he brings 200 students in or whatever it is a year, and they try to make businesses and projects that change the world.
Yeah.
And I think I would love to be a part of something like that.
Awesome. That's great, man. I don't think you could have given a more perfect answer there. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Well, so hey, I've got a few more minutes. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We'll try and wrap up real quick now. Okay. Let's one more question.
Sure.
Okay. So if you were in my shoes right now, what question would you ask yourself?
If I were in your shoes?
Yeah. If you were sitting here on my end, what question would you ask yourself?
Mm-hmm. What makes my heart sing?
What makes your heart sing? Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
And I know how busy you are. That's why I would say that, because are you doing the one thing you want to be doing? Is all this leading into what makes your heart sing?
Awesome.
And I know it is. Yeah. Love it. I love it. Beautiful. Thank you, my friend. I know you got to run now. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the channel. Just real quick, where can people go to find you and get in touch with you? And where can they go to learn more about the Mentee and the One Thing? No problem. So you can go to the Mentee We also have a private exclusive Facebook group. We have calls every 2 weeks, so actually with Jeff as well. We're opening the doors back up to that. So
awesome.
The MentiPodcast.com/The Inner Circle. And hey, if you need training advice or help with your fitness, you can check out RareCrossfit.com, RARE CrossFit.com.
Awesome. That's great, brother. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very, very busy guy, and you're in the middle of actually moving as well. Running the podcast, family commitments, everything. So seriously, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I had a blast doing this interview, and you're just an awesome person, my friend. And I hope that people who are watching this video go and check out the podcast and actually get in touch with you, because I think that'll be awesome. They can learn a lot from that.
Well, hey, I appreciate that, Sal. Thank you so much. And anything I do to help out me, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. If I can do anything to help you as well, just give me a shout. Always here for you, brother. Awesome.
Sure will. Thanks,
right.
Talal.
No problem. Take care, and hopefully we'll connect again soon.
Yep.
All right.
See ya.
Yep. See you. Bye.